born in New York in the United States, raised in New Jersey, and then attended MIT in Boston, where I received my bachelor's, master's, and PhD, all in electrical engineering and computer science. And my field is what you would say computer vision. So I help interpret imagery that the computer sees and translates that into objects and things. So one of my Rotary talks is involved with how do cameras see the baseball pitch in the American League Baseball to help the umpires call balls and strikes. After graduating from MIT, I married my wife, Sue Co., who is a past president of our Bedford Club, and raised two wonderful girls, Corinne and Christine, in Bedford. We currently have 3 grandchildren. Most recently, Koyos was born about a month ago. I am a part-time chief scientist at BAE Systems. That's a defense contractor, protecting those who protect us. Formerly, I served on the board of the Massachusetts Destination Imagination Program. That's an international student problem solving program where we teach kids how to brainstorm and come up with creative solutions to problems that they will encounter in their lives as they go forward. And I was leading the Structural Engineering Challenge. I am a 3rd generation Rotarian, having joined in 2006 and served in many capacities, including past president, MIT Rotary Club advisor, assistant governor, and district chairs for fellowship exchange programs. One of Suen's and my passions is working with the MIT Public Service Center. And we help student teams develop innovative solutions that will improve the lives of people in underserved communities around the world. And there you'll see some sort of connection with what you are doing in your club and some of the solutions that I work with students at MIT to help alleviate some of those conditions. We've worked with reading text, converting to Braille. Another team has worked with reducing tremors in people's hands. There have been innovative solutions for wheelchair access to stairs, and the list goes on. And we see every year when we help these student teams at MIT, we see all types of creative solutions. And we like to keep track of them because these solutions are in their, what I'll call their infancy stages. And as they complete their prototypes or go through phase 1 development, we may be in a position, and I say I poll Rotary clubs to see if they might be interested in supporting phase 2 implementations on some of these solutions. So I will keep Ken abreast and your club abreast of things that we see, and maybe we can bring some of these to fruition. So if you haven't guessed by now, I do have a passion in working with youth. They are incredibly smart and will shape our future in ways we never dreamed. So that's kind of my background. Welcome any questions that you might have before I get into describing what District 7910 is. Any questions? No questions? You must have some questions. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm assuming from your locale, you're probably, like Ken, a Boston Red Sox fan. And I have to apologize for the last two games that were blowouts that the Yankees won.
Stop it.
I am very interested in one of the things that you said that doesn't have to do with disabilities, but the pitch recognition in baseball. Is that what is currently implemented, where it shows what kind of pitch it is and the speed?
Yes, it's the evolution of what we originally developed in 2002, 2003. We were the first successful application of what I'll call missile tracking technology to track very simple white balls on a grass background.
Wow.
I
That's
have
awesome.
I have a Rotary talk all prepared that I've given to many Rotary clubs around the world even. And I've even given it to the Rotary Club of Cooperstown, New York,
Wow.
which many of you know, John, but many of you around the world don't know. That is the home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. And the Baseball Hall of Fame staff and leaders of that organization are in the Rotary Club of Cooperstown. And they heard my talk at the club, and they invited me to give the same talk at a seminar in Cooperstown.
Is that the same technology that will be used to call balls and strikes?
Yes, so in my talk, I do talk about how it evolved. It was purely an entertainment adjunct to watching a baseball game. You know, people like to see the graphics. And then after the dot-com bust, where the economy had a huge downturn and all the advertising dollars went away, Major League Baseball came to us and said, can you increase your accuracy to 1/2 of an inch? We demonstrated we could, and they gave us a contract to implement a new system to help them train umpires, which eventually became helping Major League Baseball grade umpires, and that's another story.
Awesome. And how do you implement that into disabilities world? That kind of technology.
Well, that kind of technology can help. You can imagine for those people who are blind to see their environment. I mean, the technology there has made major strides forward. That's why we have discussions about cars that drive themselves. That technology is amazing. And I look forward to the day when I cannot drive, but I'll have the mobility to go from place to place because we'll have self-driving cars. It's coming. It's coming within 5 years, I think.
Including road rage?
Well, it will reduce road rage because you can imagine if people are relying on self-driving cars, you know, the accident rate will go down. The fatality rates will go down.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's pretty good. I'm just amazed at how fast the technology is advancing because our computers are shrinking. The amount of compute power we can put on small chips is amazing. It just boggles the mind.
Victor, Al has his hand up. Al from Canada.
Okay, Ken, I'm going to rely on you because I've got a very small screen here, and I've got half of my speech on the other half.
Okay, and we've had some club members also join us too. So, but let's answer Al and Alicia have their hands up. So, Al, your question?
Oh, just a comment. As another engineer, I just appreciated the speaker's words. I've been active in accessibility through the Canadian Society for Civil Engineering, and I've given talks on what's called going beyond the code, because bottom line is most accessibility codes don't focus on the simple, easy, straightforward, low-cost things that can be done to make things happen quickly. So that's just a comment.
Yeah, so I remember solutions back when I was a student, a simple thing like putting a what they called a sonar system. Polaroid cameras used to have sonar systems for determining range so that they could focus. And so one of my fellow engineers said, why don't we just put one of these little things on a cane that blind people use so they can detect objects, 10, 15 feet in front of them. So I agree with you. There are many solutions out there. They are not completely sophisticated that are easily codified with the current technology, and they're cheap.
Yeah,
and they're cheap.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank
if
you.
you know of applications where, hey, we could do this and solve a really great problem, I can relay that to these this public service center at MIT and inspire some students.
Good.
Great, thank you, Al.
Thank you.
And Nalish from India.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to this session. I have two comments to make. One, a brief introduction. I am a person with disability, cerebral palsy, quadriplegia, and apart from disability work that I do, I am an ardent fan of open source software, and I've been kind of trying to promote accessibility in open source software. And the other thing, I would like to ask you is, I don't know how things work at MIT, but here in India, IIT, that is Indian Institute of Technology, a lot of similar, research and things are done, more like proof of concepts. But unfortunately, many of them are patented, or manufacturers don't come forward. There are some fantastic, solutions available. So, what do you think we need to do so that we can work very closely with like MIT or IIT and get people with disability in the new latest technology at a cheap cost? Thank you.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that question, because at the public service center in which I work, well, volunteer, let's put it that way, that not work, many of these students are passionate about helping, and they devote a lot of time developing their project plans, getting funding, and trying out prototypes during the summer after their sometimes junior year, senior year. They do it because they want to help people. They don't get academic credit for the work they put in during their school year. In fact, I worked with a PhD student who worked on a Rotary Global grant that I got for him to pursue the phase 2 implementation of an educational program in Kenya. And he delayed his PhD for 1 year because he was passionate about this program. Many student teams have a desire to help people, and they form NGOs that, they're not in there to make money or to patent ideas. They're into helping people. A lot of their solutions, you might think, that it was a great idea, and it really isn't that patentable, but they want to get it out. And Rotary could be a really good arm, a way for them to get past prototype and into deployment to help people. So that's why I like to keep tabs on all these developments at MIT. Go ahead,
Get
Ken.
back there. So Jacqueline is from Egypt. Jacqueline's a good friend of the club. We have members in our club and we have friends of the club. And a lot of the people who you see here are friends of our club. And Jacqueline is from Egypt. She's just formed a new e-club. And Pam, I think we should talk about getting e-clubs together for some sort of a convention, because I think that would be a good thing to do. But Jacqueline, you have a question, Jacqueline?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the kind invitation, Mr. President, and most welcome, District Governor Victor.
Thank you.
I'm starting to be an advocate for disability here in Egypt, and I am proud to start a new era of caring the disabled persons here in Egypt through the activity of our e-club. I am asking about the projects to increase the awareness of our community, to care for more caring of the disabled persons, especially in the students like you mentioned, District Governor. Now, I search for a partnership or a project together with your district to increase the awareness for the students in the primary or in the middle school, because this is the future of caring the disabled persons. I think that we have here stigma for disability.
Ken, did her audio go off?
We lost her? Yeah, it looks like we lost her. Yeah, okay. She'll come back. And we'll move on to, are you back, Jacqueline? Because we lost you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
we
the
lost you for
internet,
about 30
is not
seconds.
stable. Yeah. The internet is not stable here. So I'm asking about the partnership projects between our district and the district of District Governor President, Past President Victor Tom, if he has any opportunity or thoughts about raising the awareness of the school children regarding disabled persons, technology or exchange of information, or the best ways to raise the awareness among the school children.
I think that's why we're relying on and working with Ken Masan and his club. That is basically our beacon for raising awareness throughout the disability community, and to raise Rotary awareness of the possibilities to help that community. So I think working with Ken, within our district, we can discuss and bring to the forefront issues that you raised. I was not aware of any programs. I am not currently aware of any programs to raise awareness for middle and elementary school students, but I'm well aware that those issues exist.
I have one suggestion, and I'll keep it short. It's Al from Ottawa. I'm at the University of Ottawa as engineer in residence. And one of the things I do, which might help you, is I arrange for the engineering student classes to have a visiting lecture from a person with a severe disability. And so I've had people come in that were on ventilators, that could hardly speak. I've had people come in with no hand motion, no very limited ability to speak, but able to get across the messages of what their daily life is like. And I can tell you this, the students are astounded and absorbed and interested in seeing this kind of person, because most of them have never met a person with severe disabilities up close in their life. So that is a very popular way at our university to make the students aware. That's all I'll say. It's a very effective way.
Yeah, I know a lot of our students at MIT, they come from these countries where these problems exist, and they really like to help their home regions where they have disabilities. But I love your idea, Al, of bringing to the students the experiences of people with disabilities. Do you ever do Zoom calls?
Yes, yeah, we do. And I could certainly have one of our volunteer persons give a Zoom lecture.
I will suggest that to the person in charge of our MIT program for the Ideas Challenge.
Yeah.
So Al, what is your last name?
It's Perks, P-E-R-K-S.
P-E-R-K-S, Perks.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you're in Toronto, right?
I'm in Ottawa, Canada. Ottawa.
Oh,
Ontario.
Ottawa. I'm sorry. Ottawa. Okay.
Every term I've arranged to have a different person come in, and I've been astounded at how the attention and the appreciation the young graduating engineers have after they've listened to somebody.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Victor, I'd like to just go around the room that here and just introduce you to the active members that are here.
That would be great.
And let me just look around the screen here. So we have Allison. Allison is our foundation chair. Allison is from Wisconsin. Allison works in different aspects of disabilities, including doing a lot of research. And she's been very helpful to the club as far as her experience with working with organizations and so forth, as far as us working, keeping us focused on what we will be doing. And just want to mention, we had a meeting last week as a club, and we were talking about what do we want to do for goals for this year. And there were a number of things mentioned, but many of the people felt that education was a key for people with disabilities. So we're going to kind of zero in on what that actually project will be, but that will probably be one of our project education. As I move down the room here, down, you see, if you see AJ Link, he's at the bottom of my screen. AJ is from Washington, DC. AJ works in space accessibility for people with disabilities in space, different aspects of space, to make sure that it will be and is be in space law, to make sure that there will be accessible for people with disabilities, which when I first heard about AJ a year ago, fascinated by him, and thinking, wow. And certainly, if you think about it, that is the future. I mean, it's extremely important that the work that he's doing there. So, on my screen, beside AJ is Evans. Evans is from Kenya. Evans is our communications chair. Evans has a good background in communications and a degree in communications, and worked at a TV station in Kenya. And he also is extreme passionate disability advocate in Kenya. We're glad to have him. Maureen is from Uganda. Maureen is she's works in para sports in Uganda, and she works in many things. Maureen is into many different things in Uganda, including helping people with jobs and all sorts of other things. But she works, her focus has been a lot on para sports, particularly volleyball para sports. As I mentioned to you before, para sports oftentimes is everywhere. It's everywhere, and the Paralympics gets a lot of the attention, but the sports leagues don't, and they often struggle with financial things. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that Rotary can help out in that way. Louis, as I mentioned to you before, is from Brazil, and Louis works as a company in Brazil that works on accessibility and inclusion, and he works with governments, he works with companies, he works with educational facilities. I'm really hoping to get more working with Rotary. Mark, maybe we can get him working more with Rotary to work on accessibility for Rotary because there's work to be done there. Let me turn the page here. Let's see. And I mentioned for Jagwe is from Uganda. Jagwe also works on sports, para sports there. As I mentioned, he has a blind football, soccer, wherever you're from, different word, team there, which has a league and it's a very active league, and he's done a great job there. Stephen is from Kenya. Stephen is our membership chair from Kenya, and Stephen is he's one of the first Kenyan people I was in contact with, and we have actually 5 members from Kenya, and Stephen is extremely active in different advocacy issues in Kenya. And then also is Luke. Luke is here. Thank you, Luke, for being here. Luke is busy working at a hospital and took some time out to be with us today. We're pleased that Luke has worked on in Kenya or in the United States, they call it special needs. A teacher, and he's also a counselor, works with different people with disabilities in Kenya to counsel them. And then also we have Grace. Thank you for being here, Grace, today. She had a busy day today, so I'm glad to have her here. Grace is also from Kenya. Grace has been, she's an advocate for disabilities in Kenya, but one of the things she's been focusing on lately is there's an election coming up in Kenya in about a less than a month or a month, and she's been focusing on making sure that the candidates who are supporting disability human rights are being elected. So she's been working on that. Who am I missing? But am I missing somebody? I apologize if I am. Club member.
Monsieur Samuel Eliezer is here from Kassav.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, how are you?
Yes. Who is here?
Samuel Eliezer. He's participating. I'm translating.
Doing well.
Bonjour, Janet. Bonjour.
Merci.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Good morning.
Comment allez-vous?
Samuel is from Haiti. He's not a club member, but he's from Haiti. And one of the things we've been working with Samuel is to start up another Rotary club in Haiti. So that's been working with Tom Gump with Samuel and Janet on that. So I apologize if I'm missing somebody that are on the room here from the club.
Hello, Ken. I'm late. So, sorry for I'm late.
Sorry, I apologize for missing you. He's from Bangladesh. He is extremely active in disability rights there, has a company involved in all sorts of different things in Bangladesh. He tells me he thinks about this. If anybody's mic's on, can you kind of turn it off? He tells me that he thinks day and night about disability rights for people with disabilities. So those are the members that are here. So I just wanted you to meet the ones that are here. And there are a few, of course, that are working and can't make it and other issues. So, but it's quite a group. It's quite a group, Victor. So
It is quite a group, yeah. I'm really impressed.
And I don't know if I can ask. I'll ask this question because we have you, Victor, here. We have a district governor elect here. We have a district governor nominee here. We have a past district governor here. We have Mark here. But it's an interesting concept for a district governor to have a club like this in their district, I would think, because we're basically non-traditional. And I'm just wondering your thoughts on how a district can work with a global group like this. Is there any thoughts any of you may have, particularly Victor, may have on how you think maybe a district, like one in Massachusetts, works with a group that's global?
Yeah, I can address that. We've learned a few lessons from our fellow district governors in Connecticut. It is very possible and sometimes very advantageous to have an e-club within the district that has the reach that you folks do of around the world. And you're also our only cause-based club within our district. So people within our district who have similar interests to help a cause-based club such as yours, you can leverage into our club members who have those similar aspirations. The way we have talked with Ken in the past is you are seeking to create advocacy for people with disabilities. And as you said before, one of your goals is education. We can provide you that platform. We can provide you access to our seminars, our summits, our DEI summits, so that you can educate our club members as well as the communities that are attending these summits. The other thing I want to mention is that we can provide you with introductions, and this was asked specifically of me as well in talking with some of your officers. They would like introductions to the district governors and other club presidents within their local areas to expand their reach beyond their several members. I know in Kenya you have close to 5 members, I believe, in this e-club. But imagine if you could then use those 5 members to reach into other Rotary clubs in Kenya and then get those clubs involved. So that's where I think the district can help immediately. And we're open to suggestions. This is new ground for us. I can open it up to my fellow district leadership, Elliot and Joyce and Diana, to chime in if they'd like.
I'd like to also do some contributions from Nigeria. I am Rotarian Dr. Yomi Utsukoya. I am actually from Rotary Club of
Dr. You're muted. Can you unmute? Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Anybody who's not on our mailing list or connected with us, if you want to drop your names in the chat, that would be great. Does any of the other former and present and future district governors have any thoughts on how a district can work with a global group like this?
This is Elliot. Ken.
Diane? Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
So my comment was simply going to be that, yeah, although right now this club is unique for our district, and as Victor said, the only cause-based club that we have, I think that you guys are leading the way in Rotary right now, because Rotary is changing, and we're going to see more and more e-clubs, more and more cause-based clubs. That's the future of the organization. So while you're ahead of the curve, we have to learn how to work with clubs like this, because this is where we're going, and we need to figure out the best way to support you, the best way for you to integrate with us as a district. And Rotary as a whole is going to have that challenge in the years to come, because this is the direction that the organization is going to head over the next several years. So thank you for leading the way.
Thank you, Elliot. Diana, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I do have a comment. I'm very partial to the club because the club started on June 17 of 2021. And and I really like to give much credit to President Ken and to the officers that started the club at the time. And what better proof that a club like that can exist and can lead the way? The club has been present and has been active for more than a year now, and they work perfectly well. Of course, like everything new in the world, there are bumps and there are questions and there are no answers sometimes to the questions, but all in all, I am really proud of what you created, and the bigger group that started in January of 21, and Mark Wafer is on the call here and he can attest to that. And so many of you, you are all instrumental of this baby to start its first steps. Now we are in the toddler period of your life, and we have to figure out how to move forward.
Thank you, Diana. Pam from Australia, well, you're getting close to midnight now over there, so
Lucky,
you have your hand up.
lucky I'm a late owl. I'm here in Melbourne, and I'm very new to Rotary, and I joined 2 years ago, and the traditional club structure just didn't work for me. And I was lucky to meet one of ours. We're in Zone 8, Australia Pacific, New Zealand is Zone 8. And I was lucky to meet some of the Zone 8 leadership team. And they said, if that doesn't fit, just create something that does. And so we're in the process of founding a course-based club called International Positive Peace. So we've been 3 months in, and basically we're going to be like an advocacy. We're going to be a networking sort of foundation where we link people to other people using the principles of positive peace to work through projects that work on the strengths that are already existing in the community. And so far, like, we've got 8 people who put their hand up and said, we've been going 3 months. We've got 8 people, but there's one from Cameroon in the Netherlands. There's one rotarywda in Uganda. There's one lady from India, and different people already around, Australia. And so we're just, like, there are no rules when you're creating something new, which is really exciting and very scary. And so that, that's why I was so excited to when I heard about Ken and what you're doing with disabilities, because that's one of the areas that we focus on as well. But it's a whole new world, and not like we had to, like, even though we're international, we had to be positioned somewhere in the world. So we come under District 9790, which is part of, Melbourne is part of. But it was based on where I lived, because Rotary International hasn't got their head around where does a club live in the world. But all of that doesn't matter. We're just sort of, it's new and exciting, and we don't quite know what we're doing, and that's why we're looking for guidance.
I can relate to that. And Pam, if you put your contact information in the chat, because you're still looking for charter members, and there may be somebody in this group know somebody who would love to be a charter member in your group, that would be great.
That would
And
be
Joyce,
fantastic.
Joyce, you have a hand up? Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to be very impressed with this group. I've attended several of your meetings, but it's wonderful to see participation from all around the world. My husband is blind, my son is blind, and I've traveled the world with a very good friend who uses a wheelchair. So I have, my consciousness has been raised for quite a bit about the challenges worldwide. I remember when my husband and I began traveling in 1964, this was before white cane laws in the United States. And we used to say that we had been kicked out of some of the best restaurants in the East with our guide dogs because they wouldn't take dogs in the restaurant. So a lot of challenges have been met in the Western countries, but certainly not all around the world. And I for raising these issues and for working for constructive solutions globally. So thank you.
Joyce. And before I get to Stephen, who has his hand up, I want to, Victor, I think you know Anne. Your club was supportive of Anne's project with Clubfoot, and Anne has joined our group here from Kenya. So I just want to make sure that she very thankful for what you guys did for her. So appreciate it much. Stephen, somewhere, did you have your hand up, Stephen?
Yes, yes, I did have my hand up, and I'm really glad that we are having a talk like this, and I'm also happy, and I'm really excited to hear from our district governor. The aspect of practicability again comes in, and you see how there is real actions when it comes to accessibility through the knowledge, the engineering knowledge that they incorporate at the university and where he works, the invention and all that. So to me, I see there is that aspect of real implementation. I don't know. I have a question, Mr. District Governor. From my observation, I've noted that there are so many policies that have been established by so many organizations and governmental organizations, but implementation has been an issue. So I don't know, how do you address such an issue? Like, if there is a project that needs to be followed to the letter and to be seen to its completion, what do you think should be done? What do you think the issues around implementation of the projects and policies that have been established has been an issue? If maybe you're aware of such things, if you're aware of some negligence, or what can I call them? Yeah, the lagging behind in the implementation of the policies, Mr. District Governor. Thank you.
That's a good question. The students that I work with And I suspect the students that Al works with up in Ottawa are engineering students, and they're eager to solve problems. Policies, however, you know, those are the things that governmental organizations create to allow or to and sometimes fund some of these implementations. So those are two separate issues. I think Rotary can play a role in raising awareness to shape policies. And some of these students actually work with governmental organizations to create policy change. And that's where we can also help these students. We were connecting for a water project in China. We were creating connections for these MIT students to use their technology to monitor water. And you wouldn't think that a modern country like China would have problems with water. But when in their water sampling, they found many sites of pollution. And the Rotary clubs helped them to connect with governmental policymakers to actually create change. And that's where I think some of these student teams can also help, is take their technology, create the science and the factual information necessary to shape policy. And so that's where I think there is one possibility. So if a group like yours can inspire and make aware of the problems in certain areas, and the students have an engineering solution to create the information that is needed to shape the policy, I think that's a viable way forward. That's off the cuff of my thinking. That's a good question.
Good. Thank you, Victor. Thank you. In one of the things we, you know, the more you are with Rotary, you realize how powerful Rotary is. I mean, it's the largest network in the world, and Rotary can make change. Very, very quickly and impressively. So, Louis, you have your hand up in Brazil.
Hello, Ken. Thank you. Hello, Dr. Victor. Nice to hear a little bit from you. And just to have a contribution, I think one of our biggest challenges here in this group is we have people. We are really diverse. We have people around the world. And inclusion and accessibility is always an issue that we face in different countries in different ways, you know, like at different spectrums. So sometimes one thing that is hard is that we have a lot of solutions here with this group because one can learn with each other. We have different kind of experiences as well. So I think for me, this is one of the richest things we got at this group, that we can help each other.
I totally agree. I think we could take steps forward, and you'll find that one or two of your fellow Rotarians will have, you know, an idea toward a solution, and as it matures, you all can leverage that experience and apply it to your own locale and your own disability focus area.
Yeah, and regarding technology, my experience, I developed some technologies here in Brazil, also especially in access of content. That technology is really beautiful, it's really magic, but in the end, we need like this mediation, you know, we need somebody to help us through the technology. So sometimes this could be something that we could think about, something more closely from technology, but in the end, we need to put a lot of hands-on. Yeah, because technology is magic, but it doesn't make all the magic that we need, yeah. So I think that could be something interesting that we could think together. Thank you very much. Nice to see everybody.
I hear you, Louis. And well, one of the things I do like about some of these student groups I've been working with, they realize that it's not the latest technology that's going to help. Some of the older technology is actually much more implementable and locally sourced. And so that's important to them. They want to develop something that can be actual implementable, practical, low cost, so that it can be rolled out.
Yeah, we have a list of a lot of projects that we can think together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Tom, if you don't mind, we're coming towards the end of our meeting. We're so thankful for you being here and all the DGs and here also. But I'd like to take a few minutes to turn to Mark. Mark, are you there? If you don't mind, Mark's been touring with Jennifer Jones around the world, and if we could just hear a few words from you, Mark, on what's been going on with that tour, and also how does Rotary International view groups like this? That would be great, Mark.
Well, first of all, Rotary International is very excited about our organization. There's a huge appetite around the world for more education, more support, more understanding of the pieces of the spectrum of diversity, which is not often discussed in Rotary, and that's people with disabilities. And so there's a lot of interest now. And our group, and you, Ken, you've been at the forefront of this, have actually become a problem solver for Rotary International, because now RI and staff at RI and senior Rotary personnel now have somewhere to go when they have questions around disability. What we're looking at now is ensuring that Rotary clubs, and I talk about this when I travel with Jennifer, is ensuring that Rotary clubs and Rotary district are looking at people with disabilities in their community as potential members of clubs right around the world. And that's starting to resonate. I was at a PETS in Michigan a couple of months ago, and I actually talked about that. We got 400 or 500 people in the room. And the Q&A took longer than my keynote speech. There was so much interest in what we were talking about here. Rotary presidents and past district governors come up to me and say, we have never ever thought about inviting people from the disability community into our club. We've never thought about it. So here we are, right? The traveling with Jennifer has been incredible. Most Rotary presidents do not travel their own country. This is the first time that a president has started off by visiting every part of their own country. And in Canada, the second largest country in the world, it takes a long time to see every part of the country. But we went to places, and we went to parts of Canada that Canadians don't generally get to see, and that is the North. It is a hostile environment. The weather is frightful. And we went up as far as the town of Tuktoyaktuk, which is a First Nations community right on the Arctic Ocean. And the temperature the day we got there, late June, was -5. The Arctic Sea was just starting to melt for the year. 56 days of no nighttime. It was sunshine, 56 straight days. And even though it was -5, the sun would kill you. The sun was so bright and so strong. And we spent some time up there in the homes of First Nations elders, listening to their stories, making food with them, learning about their lives, learning about the atrocities that happened to them in the past through colonialism. And also meeting with Rotarians, looking at the projects, hundreds and hundreds of projects across the country. And so now Jennifer is going to be traveling the world, and she now knows exactly what's happening in her own country. So she can compare and share all of the projects, all the ideas, make connections with people around the world, things that are happening in Canada. And, you know, it was an eye-opener for me, because even with Valerie being vice president and me being in the periphery of Rotary leadership for many years, I was not prepared for how many wonderful Rotary projects there are across the country in Canada. And so now that Jennifer knows firsthand what's happening, she can now share that with the rest of the world. DEI is at the forefront of everything that Jennifer wants to do. And she is promoting it in every speech, everywhere she goes. She talks about the importance of equity and inclusion, and she's specific about what that means, including people with disabilities. We've got to get more people with disabilities into our clubs. And then when we've got to get in the clubs, we've got to engage them, and we've got to promote those who have the ability to do so into leadership positions within Rotary. That's my speech for this morning.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Ken,
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Ken, did you want me to install your officers?
Those that are here, let's see who's here still at this point. We may want to do it on a separate event because we're not all here.
I can do that, Ken. I can do that.
Let's see. Yeah, let's do that because I'd like to have them all together when we do that. So we'll work at a time that's convenient for everybody. Okay,
Yep.
if you don't mind, that would be great.
That's fine.
We'll talk about that. And so, Victor, we're so thankful for you being here. We're so glad to be a part of this district. We're so glad to be that you're supportive of what we're doing, and we look forward to working with you in the next year on these projects. Do you have any closing remarks?
I just want to say that we on the district level, we're here to support you. We want to provide you the platform. We want to put out the communications about your club, try to reach as many people as we can. And, I have office hours. Ken has dropped in on my office hours. For 2 weeks and every month, I have open office hours where any Rotarian can just drop in, tell me your issues, tell me your problems that you'd like to help solve, anything. I want to keep communications open between all of our club members and our district leadership team.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. And, thank you for all that showed up. As I said, we have a lot, we have active members, honorary members, and we have friends of the club, and a lot of them are here today, and I'm very thankful for them showing up. And we look forward to the year to come. There are lots of good things I'm looking forward to out of that, and much appreciated.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all, and have a good day. Yeah.